We are following a shocking investigation. Patrick Brown and his family declared targets of a death threat, prompting police to place the Brampton mayor under police protection. You'll hear from investigators in just moments.
A brazen daylight shooting in Etobicoke left one man with critical injuries. The search is now on for suspects. We are live at that crime scene.
And dueling protests erupt outside Toronto City Hall today over homeless shelters, bike lanes, and bus lanes. We'll tell you why some people are blaming the Chow administration.
Also this hour, a new report shines light on the plight of asylum seekers from Africa just arriving in Canada, suggesting they face anti-black racism and homelessness. We have reaction.
You're watching Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latifat. Thanks so much for joining us and welcome to Live at 5. Police are investigating after a man was found shot in a vehicle in a parking lot. This happened in Etobicoke.
CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan joins us live. This is near the scene, which is at Rathburn and Renforth. Steve.
Yeah, Bakari and Lena, Toronto police tell us that they received multiple 911 calls just before 1 o'clock this afternoon to that location, as you mentioned, Rathburn and Renforth. It was for a interaction or an altercation. And when police arrived on scene, they found a silver-colored four-door hatchback behind me in this parking lot. Leaning against the back of that car was a man, I'm told, in his 40s or 50s, and he has sustained a gunshot wound. Now, he's been rushed to a trauma center in possible life-threatening condition. There is no word on the suspects yet, nor do we have any descriptions. And that's because it's very early on in this investigation. But I can tell you this is a very busy plaza, and there are plenty of surveillance cameras in this particular area here. So the police have spent a considerable amount of time this afternoon going through the cameras at this location. It won't be long, I would suspect, that they will get some sort of images on a surveillance tape with regards to what transpired and who those suspects are, and was there a vehicle. We do know that the suspects did flee, but we do not know what direction.
Sure, I was thinking I'd call him
a vehicle or not. No, I'll send it back to you.
Okay. Steve Ryan reporting live from Etobicoke, an active scene there. Steve, thanks so much. We'll take you to Peel Region now, where police are investigating a death threat against Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown.
Okay, right now, let's go live to CP24. It's Beatrice Vaisman, who joins us from the newsroom. Beatrice, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is. Bakari and Lena, this is a death threat that was sent by email to the mayor's office. This is according to a source that I've spoken to, a direct knowledge of this police investigation. It was roughly 2 to 3 weeks ago that this email, I'm told it came from a server outside of the country, sent to the mayor's office, and it was essentially a death threat against Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown, his wife, and their son. That death threat then prompted a police investigation to begin, and for roughly 2 weeks, I'm told that Peel Regional police officers were essentially parked outside of the mayor's family home, making sure that he and his family were safe. Today, we heard from Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown inside of the Peel Regional Police headquarters in Mississauga. He was hesitant to speak directly on the investigation, saying he didn't want to hamper it in any way, but was asked directly by our Steve Ryan, how does it make you feel to be the subject and the target of a death threat against you and your family? And here's his answer.
Well, I wouldn't want to interfere with the investigation. Just to say I've got great confidence in the Peel Police. I feel safe because we have a great police force in Peel Region. This is not the first time I've received a death threat. I did so a number of years ago. I'm sure it won't be the last, and it certainly won't change my approach. I certainly want my family to be safe, and I believe they are, but it won't change my approach to being outspoken about public safety and to do my job accordingly.
And so again, my source telling me that an email was sent from a server from outside of the country, but that Peel Regional Police have actually now identified at least one person, not only within the country, but within the GTA, who they believe is the primary suspect in this investigation. You heard Patrick Brown there saying it's not the first time he's received a death threat. He received one roughly 4 years ago, but certainly the situation has heightened the police alerts. Again, they provided this extra security protection for the mayor and his family. I'm told they've since backed off, feeling as though very imminently that they're going to be hopefully finding the person responsible. Here's more from the Deputy Police Chief, Nick Milinovich.
The mayor has a very public, very active role, and he advocates for his community. I think, the position he's taken on public safety, the way that he's advocated on behalf of not just his community, but the police service as well, it's a very, very public role. And a lot of people don't like that. And an unfortunate reality is some of those people are willing to commit crimes and make threats against people. In this circumstance, it was a threat that wasn't just made against the mayor, it was against his family. We did a risk assessment on that, and out of an abundance of caution to make sure that he and his family are safe, which we will always do, we provided some enhanced layers of security.
Chief Milinovich said that he was hopeful to have more news on this investigation in the coming days. And again, there is optimism that an arrest could be imminent. As for the mayor and his family, certainly the mayor reiterating his thanks to Peel Regional Police for keeping him and his family safe. And the source, again, familiar with this police investigation, saying at this point it's not believed that the mayor's support for the Tamil community has been very vocal about it, that it did not play a role in this death threat. But certainly the investigation continues out in Peel.
Okay, and so the motive still pretty unclear. Beatrice Vaisman working on this big breaking news story out of our newsroom tonight. Thanks so much, Beatrice. And let's stay in Peel Region because that is where police say they have dismantled an organized criminal network responsible for a series of violent home invasions.
Okay, so this investigation, it's dubbed Project Ghost. Let's bring in CP24's Andrew Brennan. Andrew, we're talking about 13 suspects, some as young as 15.
Okay, looks like we don't have Andrew Brennan's microphone there, so we'll check back with him as soon as we do get that audio. In the meantime, it's 5:07, 31 degrees, feeling pretty sticky out there, more like 35 with the humidity. Let's get a check on that potentially sticky drive home tonight with Adjoa and Siayawa. Adjoa.
Lena, you did guess right. It is a sticky drive if you're making your way out. AC is a must. It is slow on all of the major area highways, and then sprinkle into the mix. We have quite a few issues that are happening. So we'll start with problems. They've been with us for about an hour or so. So this is the eastbound lanes of the 401 in the Express as you make your way through here on Ontario. So the HOV, and it is the two left lanes that are blocked. So it looks like it's just single file through here. What I am seeing, though, is that big backlog that does extend from well before Mississauga Road. And you know what? It's both core and collectors. Then further east on the 401, we're dealing with a stalled truck. It's eastbound 4 and Express in Nielsen. Does have those two right lanes occupied. And then on the Burlington Skyway, Niagara-bound QEW, Toronto-bound QEW, actually, on the Burlington Skyway, had some problems. Collision was in the two left lanes. It looks like that situation cleared, but we do have problems happening on the westbound lanes of the QEW. This is right through Royal Windsor. Looks like a collision. It does have the center lane blocked. Just a heads up, if you're headed towards Runnymede, it's blocked north of Bloor, and that is for a rollover.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
It's 5:08, 32 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A new report suggests African asylum seekers, they're facing significant barriers in their resettlement journeys here in the GTA, including homelessness and systemic anti-Black racism. We'll take a closer look at those findings coming up.
Okay, so going back to Peel Region, where police say that they've dismantled an organized criminal network responsible for a series of violent home invasions and car thefts.
Yeah, this is a story we were telling you about just before we took a short commercial break. And for all the details on this investigation dubbed Project Ghost, let's check back in with our Andrew Brennan, who I hope we can hear now. Andrew.
I certainly hope so, too. And let's just go through thinking about this being called Project Ghost. Well, the alleged assailants in this case, in this story, certainly not acting like it inside people's homes, terrorizing them very visibly and in a threatening manner, corporeal, as it were. Now, I just don't want to bring up some of the alleged accused that Peel Police unveiled today, showing us the 13 accused include people as young as 15 years old. According to Peel Regional Police, all of this began about a year ago, just before the Cinco de long weekend. There was an overnight home invasion that, according to police, 3 suspects were involved. Now, you can see here it began with the organizational leadership. You see that police sort of trying to organize them from that capacity. But this first home invasion alerting police, according to police, there was a Mercedes that was stolen out of the driveway, but the victims even being stabbed in the case of 3 of them in this home invasion as these assailants, masked and armed, threatened to take their lives along with their vehicle. Half an hour later, a Lamborghini was stolen, according to police, with the same getaway vehicle, a white Acura. And by arresting the people in that car, according to Peel Police, they found something more wider and more nefarious at play. Here's some more from Peel Regional Police.
These crimes terrorize our community, and they cannot be accepted. Our community wants people responsible for them held accountable. And really, because of the work of this team and the people standing behind me, we are able to say to our community, not only have we arrested them, charged them, but we have started the process of holding the people that terrorize our communities responsible and accountable.
Now, like I said, in all, there were 13 co-accused that have been, at least at this point, arrested by police. And they talked about $2 million in luxury goods, most of that vehicles, Lena Bakari, that were stolen over the span of several months. About a third of that property, in terms of the monetary value, has been recovered as of now. Back to you both.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much for this. Well, a new report suggests African asylum seekers are facing significant barriers in their resettlement journeys in the GTA, and that includes homelessness and systemic anti-Black racism.
And CP24's Arda Zakarian has this story, joining us live. Arda.
Bakari and Lena, United Way Greater Toronto, in partnership with the City of Toronto, in support with Peel and York Region, have done this report, and they interviewed 29 African asylum seekers, 9 service providers, and they found that because of the 2023 refugee crisis, there are a number of African asylum seekers in our city, and many of them were forced to sleep on the streets because our city's shelter system is broken. The report found that many asylum seekers struggle to find safe, stable shelter, often facing discrimination or overcrowded conditions. And then when they were looking for a job, the study found that many of them experienced racism, restrictions when they were getting trained or wanted to get trained. One participant said that they were told directly that the employer would not hire anyone Black or anyone African. Others encountered inconsistent information, limited legal aid, and a lack of culturally appropriate services. Some tried to relocate, go to a different area. Maybe some things would be different. One person relocated from Peel to Cornwall. She's a member of the 2S LGBTQ plus community. She is also a mother of 3. But when she moved there, the shelter that she was supposed to stay in closed all of a sudden. And then she found that there was a lack of support from the government, and she was isolated from cultural communities. She eventually returned back to Peel. Similar stories as well. People tried to relocate, go to Niagara. Again, had the same kinds of hurdles, returned back to the GTA. The report also, though, highlighted positives like support from Black-led and faith-based organizations that actually worked.
I think the other thing that really emerged from these stories from the 29 individuals was the level of care and help they received from, Black-led and focused organizations, the culturally appropriate care, the connection to community, to faith organizations, that those organizations played a big role in helping people to settle, to get the supports that they needed and connect with community in a way that they wouldn't have if those organizations hadn't stepped in and stepped up.
And the city responded in a statement. I'll read just a couple of short excerpts from this. Work continues to create a dedicated refugee shelter system designed to better meet the specific needs of refugee claimants, including African asylum seekers, with culturally responsive services and settlement supports. And then also, the city is also working to develop its first Black-led and mandated shelter as part of the Homelessness Services Capital Infrastructure Strategy. Now, in response to this report, United Way Greater Toronto says it's offering an initial $400,000 plus investment in the two community-led initiatives they say will support 200 African asylum seekers and also find housing for 50 of them. Back to you.
Okay, joining us live from the newsroom, CP24's Arda Zakarian. Arda, thank you. Well, also, several groups, they rallied at Nathan Phillips Square today. This is part of a demonstration against what they claim is the city's mismanagement of a number of issues.
Yeah, but those protesters were met with counter-protesters. Let's go live now to CP24's Melissa Duggan for both sides of this story. Melissa.
Yeah, and those protests, Lena and Bakari, happening today, the rally happening today, on the same day that the city's Planning and Housing Committee was meeting inside City Hall, talking about plans for shelters in the city. That's certainly an issue that was addressed today at today's rally, and also by both sides of some of the issues by protesters. So it was 11 community groups that held this rally today, addressing issues like concerns over the decision-making process for not just shelters, but for things like bike lanes, for transit lanes, property taxes, how they're spent in the city. Also talking about encampments in the city as well. I want to share a little bit more of what those behind the rally have been saying today. Have a listen.
A vast majority of people in the city are noticing that the city is in a state of disrepair, and that municipal government is in a state of disrepair, and planning is not happening in a nuanced, balanced way. Issues like bike lanes, shelters, and a host of other issues like renamings and other things that people really don't really care about, especially, are just being rammed through without any public consultation, no understanding of the nuance, and it's creating a lot of division and polarization in neighborhoods, especially neighborhoods that have daycares in schools.
So messages like that one aimed at Mayor Olivia Chow at City Council today, how things are operated in our city. Again, a long list of concerns were put front and center, but certainly the issue of shelters. We know that the city has been working on plans to put together 6 homeless shelters in our community. We did hear from some counter protesters today on this very issue as well. They say that this is certainly an issue that needs some attention, that there are people experiencing homelessness in our city that need a place to live, at least for a short time anyway, until they get on their feet in some cases. Others just need some extra support. I want to share more of what they have to say.
I think it was time to stand up for shelters and for people who need harm reduction in their lives. We're at a very dangerous time and place in this current climate, and to have people stand here and say no shelters is to negate the lives of those that are most desperately need homes.
Now, some of those behind today's rally also say that a lot of these issues are creating divisions within different wards, different communities. One of the other issues that they brought forward, too, was they're pointing to a concern about not enough communication between city councillors and their constituents, something that they want to see happen. And something else to mention here, Lena and Bakari, this coming as we're kind of counting down to municipal election season. Of course, Toronto going to be going to the polls in October 2026. Back to you.
Yeah, the timing has to be noted here. Melissa Duggan live outside Toronto City Hall tonight. Thanks so much, Melissa. It's 5:20, 32 degrees, and you're watching Live at 5.
Looking at real estate, home prices are down compared to the same time last year. We're going to take a look at a new report. That's next.
Welcome back. A new report from Royal LePage shows GTA home prices during the second quarter of this year were down compared to the same period last year, but up slightly from the first quarter of 2025.
The aggregate price of a home in the GTA, it was down 3% year over year to just over $1.15 million. On a quarterly basis, the aggregate price remained relatively flat, increasing by 0.8%. So Royal LePage says that the number of sales, they rose in June. That's compared to May.
Interestingly, in the last 6 weeks of the quarter, so mid-May to the end of June, we saw almost double-digit increases in the number of homes trading hands in Southern Ontario, and prices were actually up, whereas nationally, they from the previous quarter, from the first 3 months of the year. So I think what we're seeing is a delayed reaction to things like improved affordability. So the June employment numbers were very strong, and wages and salaries are growing faster than home prices. And of course, borrowing costs are coming down.
The median price of a detached home decreased 1.2% year over year to about $1.45 million, while the median price of a condo decreased 5.6% to $699,000.
A court was adjourned today in the fight between Hudson's Bay and one of its biggest lenders.
Restore Capital is asking the judge to terminate a deal between the defunct retailer and BC billionaire Ruby Liu, who wants to buy up to 25 of its leases. However, Liu appeared in court today without a lawyer or materials to aid her case. The judge urged her to seek representation. The lead lender argues efforts to get landlords opposing the deal on board with it have so far proven costly and unsuccessful, minimizing how much it'll be able to recover from the collapsed retailer.
It's 5:24, 32 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, we remain under a heat warning in the GTA. You've probably felt that intensity throughout the day. Currently feeling like 37 out there. We're going to take a look at how some residents are keeping cool right after this.
Well, a heat warning, it's still in place for Toronto.
Yeah, it's been another hot and really muggy day with daytime highs between 31 and 35 degrees. This is a live shot of Nathan Phillips Square. Environment Canada has now downgraded its air quality warning to a special statement, but the quality of the air is still very poor. Smoke from wildfires in the north, clearly still an issue, though, especially for seniors, pregnant people, infants, and those with chronic health conditions. So just be careful if you fall under any of these categories. We did speak with residents about how they're dealing with this heat.
Well, just beat the heat. You start working out like early, so it's not so hot. And have some fun here at the park. In the shade.
I'm gonna eat freezes and not run around a lot.
I'll come to the park. And then I walk a little bit because I'm so young. I gotta move my leg. And I see a beautiful lady here.
Play in the water park.
Yes. What about you, Liam?
I'm going to do a water gun fight.
Getting Livia right now. And Gino, come here. Let's see. What are you doing to keep cool?
I'm like getting water and pouring it on my head.
Okay. But if you're looking to take a dip on this hot day, there are a couple of beaches where water quality is causing concerns. According to the latest water samples analyzed by the city, a red warning has been issued for Sunnyside Beach and Marie Curtis Park, East Beach for E. coli. So this means that caution is advised for swimming there. At Sunnyside, the city says E. coli levels exceed its beach water quality standard. At Marie Curtis, the city says E. coli levels are increasing.
It's now 5:29, 32 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And Bill, police are investigating a death threat against Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown. We're going to hear from police and the mayor. That's next. We're following a shocking investigation. Patrick Brown and his family declared targets of a death threat, prompting police to place the Brampton mayor under police protection. You're going to hear from investigators as well as Mayor Patrick Brown himself in just moments.
A brazen daylight shooting in Etobicoke leaves one man with critical injuries, and the search is now on for suspects. We're live at that crime scene tonight.
Well, dueling protests erupt outside Toronto City Hall. This is over homeless shelters, bike lanes, and bus lanes. We're going to tell you why some of the protesters are blaming Mayor Chow.
Also this hour, a new report shines light on the plight of asylum seekers from Africa arriving in Canada, suggesting they face anti-Black racism and homelessness. We have reaction.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us here on Live at 5. I'm Lena Latafat.
I'm Bakari Savage. Peel police are investigating a death threat against Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown.
Let's bring in CP24's Beatrice Faisman for all the details here. And you've been speaking with a source close to this investigation, Beatrice.
I have, Lena Bakari. I've been speaking with a source with direct knowledge of this police investigation. This source telling me that this death threat came by way of an email. So it was an online threat made. It was an email sent directly to Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown's office. And the death threat was specifically targeting and naming Mayor Patrick Brown, his wife, and their son. This happened roughly 2 to 3 weeks ago. And what it did was that it prompted a pretty significant police investigation to begin, which caused Peel Regional Police to kind of stage a security detail, an enhanced security detail around the mayor and his family home to make sure that all of them was safe while they tried to get to the bottom of who was responsible for this, who was the prime suspect. We heard earlier from Deputy Police Chief Nick Milinovich at an unrelated press conference at Peel Regional Police headquarters. Here's what he had to say about this threat.
Right there, we will try to get the rest of the story, and we'll come back a little bit later.
Okay, do we have Beatrice? Okay, I guess we don't. Let's turn to another story that we are following very closely, also in Peel Region, and apologies about our technical issues there. Police say they have dismantled an organized criminal network responsible for a series of violent home invasions.
And that also includes car theft. So there's a lot to go along with this. And for details of the investigation dubbed Project Ghost, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan. Andrew.
Lena, this story also involving the mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, was there for this unveiling because amongst the young people that have been arrested from 25 in age, the oldest, to 15, the youngest, there are several that come from his community and also targeting, and this is all alleged, not proven or tested in court, but also allegedly involving targeting people in his community as well. You can see now the mugshots of many of those young people now up on the screen. According to police, they began investigating all of this last Simcoe Day long weekend on August the 1st, 2024. According to police, there was a home invasion in the middle of the night, and a white Acura was seen fleeing as a stolen BMW was taken barely even half an hour or later. There was a second home invasion. Police allege the same suspects involved, the same white Acura seen fleeing the scene. And in this case, there was a shooting and 3 people also being injured, and one of them nearly having a bullet nick his heart. Police saying ultimately that after this series of home invasions and then another one in September, they arrested 2 suspects, and that led them with one of them flipping, according to police, and giving information on some of his co-accused. Again, according to police, they were able to find a network that at this point has stemmed 13 arrests in all in terms of the amount of people, again, being arrested, and nearly 200 charges being laid. Here's more from the mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, on the impact this has had.
What's even more disturbing about this network is the exploitation of youth, recruiting minors to carry out dangerous crimes. Absolutely disgusting. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Organized crime is not just a big city problem. It's not just something you see in movies. It's here. And organized crime will exploit any loophole they see in policing or in the criminal code and take advantage of that. You see that with the exploitation of youth.
So between a BMW, a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, and other luxury vehicles, as well as luxury jewelry items and cash even, according to police, there was in all about $1.8 million of goods seized, all luxury items, according to police. About a third has been returned to people thus far, and unaccounted for, it's seemingly over $1 million right now. Back to you both.
All right, Andrew Brennan reporting live. Thank you, Andrew. Police are investigating after a man was found shot in a vehicle in a parking lot in Etobicoke.
Okay, CP24's crime analyst Steve Ron joins us live. He's been following this story and is at Rathburn and Renforth. Steve.
Yeah, but Corey and Lena is in a plaza parking lot at this location, Rathburn and Renforth. Police tell us that just before 1 o'clock this afternoon, they received multiple calls regarding an altercation. When they arrived on scene in this very busy strip plaza, they found a man leaning on the back of a vehicle, a four-door silver hatchback. He had suffered a gunshot wound, and he's been rushed to hospital, where I'm told he is in possibly life-threatening condition. I'm told that the man is in his 40s or his 50s. The Toronto Police were here about 2 hours ago with their departmental tow truck. They removed the vehicle that was involved. That'll be examined by forensic examiners to see if there's any evidence on that, and the man remains in hospital. We have no information with regard to the motive of the shooting, nor do we know what the relationship was between the suspect and this victim. This is all part of the investigation, but what we do know is that one man remains in critical condition in hospital, suspect outstanding, no suspect information as of yet as well. And that's because this is very early on in this investigation. But one person shot in hospital, man in his 40s or 50s, suspect unknown, and the victim's vehicle has been impounded to be examined forensically. That's all we got for now. Send it back to you guys.
Okay, and again, this is near Rathburn and Renforth. CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ron. Thanks, Steve. Well, York Regional Police, they're seeking the parent or guardians of a young boy who's been found in Vaughan.
Yeah, they say the boy is approximately 3 years old and was located in the area of Major Mackenzie Drive and Velour Woods Boulevard. He's in good health and described as white with dirty blonde hair and blue eyes. He's wearing navy shorts and a white, blue, and yellow Puma T-shirt with blue Croc shoes. The boy is with York Police at 4 District in Vaughan. That's the tweet that YRP have put up. If you have any information at all, you're urged to get in touch.
Well, a popular burger restaurant in Etobicoke has been heavily damaged. This happened during an overnight fire, so police are saying that arson is suspected.
It happened near the Queensway and the East Mall around 3:15 this morning. Crews were called to the scene for an interior fire that had migrated to the roof. Investigators say no one was injured in or inside the building at the time. Police also say it is arson that's believed to be suspected here, but no arrests have been made.
Last week, it was like I was watching a Terminator movie. 2 guys go along the building, go inside, light gas, light a fire, and almost blew themselves up. So now, I actually came this morning because I was watching the news, my phone was blowing up, and it happened again. So I don't know what's going on.
And a man's been charged after a 12-year-old girl was allegedly sexually assaulted on the subway.
60-year-old Shehzad Shirzeh of Toronto is charged with sexual assault on a person under 16 and sexual interference. Police say the girl was sexually assaulted on the subway in the area of Main and Danforth around 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. Investigators say witnesses called police and pointed out the suspect to them. They believe there may be more victims, and anybody with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
Well, a man and woman, they're charged with animal cruelty. This is after an incident in North York.
It happened yesterday afternoon near Yonge and North York Boulevard, south of Mel Lastman Square. Police allege 2 dogs were leashed together, with one in a car and the other left outside the vehicle. The dogs were dragged, one of them at least, as they drove away, while the second dog inside the vehicle was being pulled by the force. Bystanders intervened, stopped the vehicle, and called police. This is all according to investigators. Mohammed Saberi Kamare and Fatima Sagari Toysakani, both 54, are charged with multiple counts of willfully causing pain, suffering, or injury to an animal. The dogs were taken to a vet clinic to be treated for their injuries.
It's 5:40. Let's get a check on the evening commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa Nsiayabwa. Hey, Adj.
Hey, Bakari, and still watching so many problems impacting the drive if you're headed out. We'll start in Oakville. I've been watching this collision also for the last little bit. It's the Niagara-bound lanes at the QEW right at Royal Windsor. It's the 2 right lanes blocked because of these 2 vehicles involved in this collision. It's been there for some time. Not too sure what the holdup is, but really, really busy. And then on the 401 eastbound, the slowdown start from Mississauga Road, and they continue out to Huron, Ontario. Another long-standing collision through Huron, Ontario in the Express. It's the HOV and the 2 left lanes that are blocked. It is only the right lane that is getting by. Further east on the 401, also in the Express, this time through Nielsen, we're dealing with cleanup of a stalled vehicle. It was the truck that was stalled. Now just the right lane and shoulder is occupied, and at least no problems on the DVP. Just getting busier this hour as you approach Baby Bloor. Continues busy all the way up to the 401. A reminder, Runnymede partially blocked north of Bloor, and that is for an ongoing rollover cleanup. I'll send it back to you both.
All right, thanks, Hatch. Okay, it's 5:41, 32 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
A protest and a counter-protest were held at Nathan Phillips Square this afternoon. Some community groups are speaking out against what they call mismanagement at City Hall. We'll hear the concerns next. Welcome back. Several groups rallied in Nathan Phillips Square today as part of a demonstration against what they claim is the city's mismanagement on a number of issues, but they were met with counter-protesters.
Okay, this is where we go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan, who has coverage. Melissa.
Hey there, Bakari and Lena. Yes, so conversation, criticism, claims, all of that front and center today on a variety of issues outside of City Hall, where I am right now, where we saw 11 community groups stage a rally today, offering some of their takes on what's happening inside City Hall, accusing the city of mismanagement on a variety of issues, everything from bike lanes to transit lanes to shelter systems, also looking at how property taxes are spent in our city, also encampments, just to name a few. Their message headed straight to Mayor Olivia Chow. They wanted her to hear what they're saying today, along with other members of City Council. Of course, all of this coming as we're looking ahead to the municipal election, something that is certainly going to be taking a lot of airtime here on CP24 as we count down to that. That's going to be happening next year in October. So expect to hear perhaps more perspectives over that next little while. Here's some of what those behind today's rally had to say. Have a listen.
The city is overwhelmingly calling for change, and we're tired of being bulldozed by ideologies that don't fit our communities. It's just been nonstop, no matter what the issue is. City Hall is just taking advantage of its citizens. And if you go out and have conversations with real people who are trying to live their lives on a daily basis, they're sick and tired of what's happening at our city, whether it be wasteful spending, whether it be implementing bike lanes where they don't belong. You know, there's numerous causes out there that, again, that people are just sick and tired of what's happening in our city.
So one issue that got quite a bit of attention today was shelters in our city. Today's rally timed up on the same day as the city's Planning and Housing Committee was meeting to discuss shelters. We did hear from counter-protesters specifically on this issue. I want to share some of their take.
The interesting thing about what's happening at City Council today is that the zoning amendments are actually not whether or not a shelter can be built in that neighborhood. Those neighborhoods are already zoned for shelters to be built. The Homelessness Services Capital Infrastructure Strategy is proposing bylaw amendments or zoning amendments so that those shelters can in the future be turned into supportive housing. So the city is actually taking a bold step towards planning for the future to ensure that all shelter residents will eventually have a home.
Something else we heard from rally organizers today, Bakari and Lena, they say there's not enough consultation going on between councillors and constituents, something that they say needs to happen more. Back to you.
Okay, coming to us live from Nathan Phillips Square, CP24's Melissa Duggan. Melissa, thank you. Well, it's 5:47, 32 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A new report suggests African asylum seekers are facing significant barriers in their resettlement journeys here in the GTA, including homelessness and systemic anti-Black racism. We're going to take a closer look at the findings coming up.
A new report suggests African asylum seekers are facing significant barriers in their resettlement journeys in the GTA, including homelessness and systemic anti-Black racism.
Yeah, United Way Greater Toronto says the issues range from unaffordable housing to employment discrimination and uneven access to basic supports. In response, the organization says it's offering an initial $400,000 investment in 2 community-led initiatives that it says will support 200 African asylum seekers, helping at least 50 secure stable housing.
United Way is supporting 2 collaborative projects that are led by Black organizations. And so in Peel Region, African Community Services of Peel, and in Toronto, Caribbean African Canadian Social Services will be working with other Black organizations to provide wraparound core services for 200 African asylum seekers over the next year. And they will also work to find affordable housing, support those individuals in moving into affordable housing. And so that year-long project really just builds on the work that they were already doing.
We did receive a statement from the City of Toronto. It reads in part, quote, work continues to create a dedicated refugee shelter system designed to better meet the specific needs of refugee claimants, including African asylum seekers, with culturally responsive services and settlement support. Now, the city's also working to develop its first Black-led and Black-mandated shelter as part of the Homelessness Services Capital Infrastructure Strategy.
And this report was commissioned after hundreds of asylum seekers were forced to sleep on the streets in 2023 as GTA shelters were overwhelmed.
It's 5:52, 32 degrees. This is Live at 5.
The Emmy nominations were announced today, and we're going to take a look at some of the Canadians up for multiple awards.
Well, the contenders for this year's Emmy Awards have been announced. Shows produced by streaming platforms, they are dominating the nominations along with some Canadians.
Mr. Scout.
Apple TV sci-fi office drama Severance leads the pack with 27 nominations. HBO Max's The Penguin came in second with 24. And season 3 of The White Lotus and The Studio were tied for third place with 23 nods each. The 77th Primetime Emmys will be handed out on September 14th in Los Angeles. And Bakari was just talking about the Canadians earning multiple Emmy nominations here. For more on that, we turn to Chris Bumbray, film critic and editor-in-chief with the Joe Blow Movie Network. Good to see you, Chris. And thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about that, the Canadian representation here.
Yeah, it's great this year. I mean, one of the ones, of course, that has the most nominations is The Studio. This is the Apple TV show that was created and stars Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, actually a Montrealer. So both of them are Canadian. Rogen's up for actor, for writing, for producing. And that is one of the most nominated shows of the night. Also, Catherine O'Hara is nominated for that one as well. Of course, she's no stranger to being nominated for Emmys. And she's up for another award for The Last of Us, actually, for guest starring. So it's quite the good night for her.
Yeah, Chris, I want to talk about Catherine O'Hara, a fan favorite. We all love her. Listen, we're used to her comedic roles, but she's real different in The Last of Us.
Which is interesting, too, because she really hasn't had that much of an opportunity to really kind of stretch her dramatic chops over the years, I find. You know, I think ever since Schitt's Creek, especially, people always view her as kind of Moira, and then the studio really kind of cast her exactly in that mode. But yeah, she's terrific on The Last of Us, so it was quite a coup for her to get 2 nominations. Also interesting about the studio, Martin Scorsese and Ron Howard were both nominated for acting because they both play themselves in the show. That's the power of Seth Rogen, though. He's able to corral them in to play very unflattering versions of themselves.
Oh, he's so good. Okay, let's talk about Severance. I think that's the most nominated show, and the director, as many of us know or may not know, is Canadian.
Yeah, Jessica Lee Gagne. She is from Montreal, and she is nominated for Best Director on the show. And yeah, that's the most nominated show of the evening. Of course, that's Ben Stiller. It stars Adam Scott, and it's such a mind-bending show. It really dominating a lot of categories, especially the supporting actor category, because Travis Trimmel, John Turturro, Christopher Walken, they're all up for awards. So it is quite the year for Severance and for Apple TV, especially because they're also behind the studio.
Okay, Chris, let's wrap everything up with The Penguin, White Lotus, and The Pit, The Recognition.
I mean, that's HBO and HBO Max for you, or Crave over here. I mean, they always sweep all those categories. And The Penguin, you know, it's a limited series. Colin Farrell's up for Best Lead Actor in a limited series. The White Lotus always gets nominated. It's always the supporting categories, though, that are really kind of taken up by that show because it's an ensemble and nobody actually has ever put up for lead actor or actress in that show. And then, of course, there's The Pit. Noah Wyle was nominated for also not only acting in the show, but also for producing, and he's one of the So a great showing for that show. And that one comes back in January, and I can't wait because that's one of my favorite shows.
Much to watch, not enough time. Chris Bumbray, film critic and editor-in-chief with the Joe Blow Movie Network. Always good to catch up with you. Thanks so much for this.
Thanks, Chris.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, Blue Jays slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be anchoring the American League batting order in tonight's MLB All-Star game.
Guerrero high in the air to deep left field, and
Vladdy will start at first base and bat fifth right after Yankee slugger Aaron Judge, who is batting cleanup. Toronto catcher Alejandro Kirk is also on the AL roster. LA Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani leads off for the National League, and the game starts at 8 p.m. We're going to have all the highlights right here on CP24.
Well, it's 5:59, 32 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
We are still dealing with intense heat in the GTA. That heat warning still in effect. Currently feeling like 37 out there. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. CTV News at 6 is coming up next.